In week 1, Russell Wilson will be
Kenny Pickett's backup. Now hear me good and clearly. I think Russell Wilson should be the starter. However, I could totally picture a scenario where the Steelers say, you know what? Let's give Kenny Pickett a shot to show what he has under Arthur Smith. And then if he falters, we got Russ, who really here on a bag of chip contract, then throw him out there. But I think you got to give Kenny Pickett a shot. I think they will.
It's interesting because I think all of us, and by the way, in what can only be described as hilarious, the Broncos have just released Russell Wilson. He's already had a new team for like 6 days, but it's a post-June 1 designation. None of it matters. He's going to be on the Steelers. The point of it is this. If this is an open competition, the point that Lewis was making yesterday was that, and Louis Riddick, again, he's a believer in Kenny Pickett. They share the same alma mater. Take that for whatever it's worth. That Kenny Pickett's growth and development were stunted by poor coaching in the person of Matt Canada, who was the offensive coordinator there until basically midway through or more than that of last season, and that with a fresh start in a new offense, that Kenny Pickett, who was a first-round pick just 2 years ago, deserves a chance to prove that he's still capable of that job, and that you don't bring in Russell Wilson. If Russell Wilson cost a whole bunch of money, they wouldn't have even done this. Wilson is just an easy flyer to take because it's basically $1 million and change. Does that make sense to you as an offensive player?
It makes sense on his face, but let's be honest, Kenny Pickett was awful last year. I mean, he was really, really bad to the point where Mason Rudolph looked like a much more viable quarterback than Kenny Pickett.
True, but what I'm asking is, can bad coaching make a good player look bad?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Bad coaching can absolutely be the detriment to your whole career. And I think, listen, a lot of people say Mike Tomlin waited too long to get rid of Matt Canada. And I tend to believe that. Listen, I think that when we look at this competition and look at the Pittsburgh Steelers as an organization, they don't tend to be the type of organization that just discard people, lightly. Like they are still invested in Kenny Pickett. They gave him, they drafted him in the first round. Guy that went to the University of Pittsburgh. So by no means do I think that Russell Wilson just gonna walk in the building and become the starter. But let's be honest. Russell Wilson is better than Kenny Pickett. Russell Wilson had a better year than Kenny Pickett last year. And if Russell Wilson doesn't come in and show and exert that, then his career is over, period.
I think Kenny Pickett, you're right. What we've seen from him hasn't been good. And it might be a result of the situation that he was in. But it's still, his growth was stunted. And we are at a point now where you're starting to get to decision-making time. And I don't think anyone believes that Kenny Pickett has shown that he is going to be a franchise quarterback, a second contract type of guy. Russell hasn't either at this point. So I think they're in a tough spot. The best thing they can do is give it to someone who you think can manage this situation and manage this game, which you would guess that the older player could. Russ did a reasonable job of it last year. But the challenging thing about Russ is him at his best is not like that. It's making plays, it's scrambling, and I don't know if he lost a tenth of a second off his three-cone drill or whatever, but he don't have the agility to make the plays that he used to make in the past. And so I don't love this situation for either of them, but for the price that Russ is costing them, it's worth taking a flyer and seeing if you can awaken some ghosts.
When you talk about his stunted growth, everybody keeps talking about Kenny Pickett. Everybody's talking about Matt Canada. The truth of the matter is Mike Tomlin helped stunt his growth by keeping Matt Canada in that position because of loyalty. Because to your point, the Steelers, they don't make quick decisions. They hung on to Ben longer than they should have on one leg. And now we're going to see a situation where I think it's going to be easier to give Kenny Pickett a fresh start, a clean slate. Remember, Arthur Smith went down and spent time with him, right?
Yeah.
So you give him a clean slate and say, this is our new offense. Show us what you can do. And then it's easier to say, he's not it, and go to Russ.
Look, here's the deal, right? In the AFC, and particularly in his division, the array of quarterbacks is a murderer's row. So do you think the Steelers have made a mistake by not being more aggressive and trying to find someone that you think can legitimately go toe-to-toe with those guys? Because they probably get incrementally better with Russell Wilson, but all of a sudden, they've been incrementally good. Are they good enough at this point to compete with Baltimore, Cincinnati, Kansas City, and whoever else you want to put?
They have been competing with those teams.
They were 10-7 last year.
Really?
Yeah, I
they haven't won a playoff game in forever.
Championship level contention. So, I agree with you. Go get Lamar Jackson, go get Burrow.
I
But
get
like
it. That's easier
the
said
hard
than done.
part. It's
Right.
like you have to respect what they've done up until this point. But I don't know who the quarterback is that you would tell them to go get that's out there that could make them better. Like Kirk Cousins was the best example, and he is like slightly above average, which.
So the answer to your question is emphatically yes. They should have been more aggressive because I brought up Ben Roethlisberger for a reason. The succession plan was not clear and was not for the foreseeable future. Like, they were in a point right now where I felt like, okay, say what you want about Justin Fields, but show me that there is a plan for the next decade at quarterback. Russ might set the world on fire this year, or he might flame out. We have no idea. But if he flames out, what are you doing next year? Are you gonna run Kenny Pickett back? Are we done with Kenny Pickett? And that is my problem with the Steelers. Like the Band-Aids, that we can't keep doing Band-Aid moves.
Quarterback room is the most delicate room on a team. It really is, because the quarterback position, they tend, psychologically, they tend to be hot-strung. And so when you have a situation where you have a former number one pick, first-round pick in Justin Fields, and now you bringing in his quote-unquote replacement as a number one overall pick, that dynamic seems very, very odd, and I wouldn't want any parts of it if I'm the Chicago Bears. None.
Teams need defined roles, and they need to buy into their defined roles. And I'm not sure that it can be clear what Justin Fields' role would be, and I'm not sure that he would buy into it. I think my message to Ryan Poles would be, you don't have to win every transaction. Right now, you have to do what's best for the young quarterback that you're about to draft and what's best for the team. If he believes that Justin Fields on that roster is best for the team, then more power to him. But I find it really hard to believe that's the case.
Greeny.
Yeah.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Again, this is not me talking. Talked to NFL execs this week. Again, not me talking. They said the exact same thing that Kyle Long said.
What did they say?
They said it makes sense to hold on to Justin Fields. Literally the opposite of what we think at this table. Because think about it. Talk to one exec. Both execs are on teams that are in the QB market. Mm-hmm. And they said, one of them said, the longer you hold out, the cheaper his value is, right? Meaning, if the Bears want a second, we just wait. That price will go down. Second exec last night said, you know what? Why not keep them both? Again, America, Bishop, I don't believe in this. I don't think it makes sense for the reasons that you guys just laid out. But, Domonique, when you say Ryan Poles has to understand you can't win every transaction, the conversations I had this week were, oh no, yes, he does need to win this because of the position that the Bears were in last year, having the number one pick, giving it away, having Justin Fields, having everyone know that they're going to draft a quarterback and knowing they still have Justin Fields. And in this game of chicken, Ryan Poles, again, not me, guys, are saying that you can't just give up a first-round pick for a fifth. Ryan Poles in this moment can't just give up a fifth and a sixth.
Okay, well,
you can't get a fifth and a sixth.
You said that you talked to executives. You didn't talk to players or coaches. Executives' jobs is to win transactions, and I think that the goal should be to win football games. So the decision that you should make is, how is this decision going to impact us winning football games? If you sincerely believe that keeping Justin Fields is going to help you win football games, keep him. I don't see it that way.
Agreed.
Lose the transaction. Mac Jones, get missing for a sixth-round pick.
Yeah.
Fine. We are turning the page.
I agree with you. Hear me, though. Who is making the transaction? Not a coach, not a player. That is the difference, and that's part of the complicated situation of where we're at.
Again, for me, we're talking about two different things. One conversation is about who's winning the transaction. I'm talking about the chemistry in the locker room, in the meeting rooms. Like, that is super important, especially the quarterback room. Like, people don't understand, like, the dynamic in the quarterback room can be make or break depending on who's in that room.
So let me play devil's advocate here, because while I think I tend to lean towards what you guys are saying, the other side is starting to make a little bit of sense to me. The first sentence I would say, you're a business person, you're a smart, savvy man. Has any organization ever become better by giving away something of value for far less than it is worth? right? Just on its face, that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
So trading away Justin Fields, who was worth something. I don't know how we quantify what he's worth, but he's worth a lot more than a 5th-round pick. So giving him away for a 5th-round pick is in and of itself bad. The only reason you would do it is if you have no choice. So let's live in a world where now you make that choice.
Yep.
Now you say, all right, I know this isn't the way things are normally done, but we got 2 good young quarterbacks. We're going to let them compete for the job. We're going to let Justin Fields and Caleb Williams or whoever we draft go out there in training camp, compete for the job. If one of them, now we have 2 good quarterbacks. If one of them gets hurt, we still have a good backup, and we get on with our lives and we see where it all leads us.